Hey everybody, it's I, the Desert Squiddo, and welcome to another episode of my chat show series, where I decide to go down into the bunker of chat and look at the world's downfall as I go into another episode of my talk show series known as the Squid Talk Hour. As we are living incredibly difficult times due to this COVID-19 pandemic that's happening worldwide, there has been increased hate crime incidents. But looking at what happened last week in the United States with an incident that saw the death of one man's life proved of how inhuman and unequal the whole of the United States have become since the appointment of Donald Trump as president. And the fact that the United States has now suffered from a chronic segregation, chronic hate crime of racist behaviour against ethnic minorities. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about what had happened with the incident that led up to this, shall we? On May the 25th of 2020, George Floyd, a 46-year-old man, had died in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, after a police officer by the name of Derek Chauvin, I can't pronounce it right, had knelt on Floyd's neck for almost 9 minutes while Floyd was handcuffed face down on the street. Two other officers also restrained Floyd, and a fourth officer prevented onlookers from actually intervening. And during the final 3 minutes, Floyd was motionless and had no pulse, with officers making no attempt to revive him. And Chauvin's knee remained on Floyd's neck when emergency medical technicians attempted to treat him. This basically, it was, of course, and this is where I really frown on how bad policing in the United States has become since Donald Trump's appointment. They have now become even more brutal and more violent towards individuals, including ethnic minorities. And I'm not going to say the actual word because I don't want anybody to be offended by my opinions on this. But the fact is that the police segregation and police brutality has got so bad that ethnic minorities are really fearing for their life of being arrested or being killed on the streets and exterminated. And this basically proves of how racist the United States has really become. Basically, with a lot of people saying that they should want to boycott Trump and the United States by saying, please do not come to America. It is not a safe country anymore. It has become more and more violent and more of a war zone than an actual peaceful country. And that's what really saddens me about it, because I have a lot of relatives who live in the United States and they don't want to live in a country where racist and bigoted people live there with the far right so that they can support a president whose businesses have been to purposely and financially make a gain on people who are the minority, that he can decide to, of course, not support anymore so that they can be killed off. Basically, that's why I hate this. That's why I hate the state of the United States as well. This is the same problem I have with the UK, where after the EU referendum and before leading up to that, a lot of people started turning into racist far-righties who think that racist behaviour is perfectly acceptable, and yet the Tory party and the police make no attempt to try and curb the bad far-right, racist and bigoted and hate crime and discriminatory behaviour that individuals had decided to pursue. That's how bad the problem we have, similar to the United States. But anyway, back to the topic. Floyd had been arrested on suspicion of passing a counterfeit bill at a nearby market, and several witnesses took videos of the incident, which were widely circulated and broadcast, along with security camera footage from nearby businesses, with officers' body camera footage not being released. A criminal complaint later filed against Chauvin stated that Floyd repeatedly said he could not breathe while standing outside a police car and resisted getting into the car, and intentionally fell down as he went to the ground face down after Chauvin placed his knee on Floyd's neck, repeatedly saying, I can't breathe, mama, and please. There were autopsies determining the manner of Floyd's death to be homicide, and it was found out from a Hennepin County medical examiner's autopsy that Floyd died from cardiac arrest during restraint after being subjected to neck compression, and also significant conditions being the fact that he had heart disease and a massive amount of drug intoxication. A second autopsy commissioned by Floyd's family found that the evidence is consistent with mechanical asphyxia as the cause of death, with neck compression restricting blood flow to the brain and compression restricting breathing. Back compression, actually. The day after the incident, all 4 officers that were involved were fired, and on May the 29th, Chauvin was charged with third-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter. However, on a few days later, on June 3rd, Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison amended Chauvin's charges to include second-degree murder, and the other 3 officers were also charged with aiding and abetting second-degree murder. The FBI and the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension were both also investigating the incident. And after Floyd's death, demonstrations and protests against the usage of excessive police force and the lack of police accountability were held globally, not only just in the United States but also other countries worldwide, including the UK, Australia, and European countries, and many worldwide, stating that racist and hate crime behaviour is not tolerated to any facts and walks of life. Okay, so I'm going to say this right now because I know, being a person who's also suffered from hate crime in terms of disability hate crime, I just want to say this, that hate crime in any shape and form, racism included, will not be tolerated in my world. And anybody who supports that is not even welcome in my world at all. In fact, if you think that racist behaviour is tolerated, then you don't even deserve to be associated in my world at all, because I think I have the right to exclude anybody who's racist, bigoted, discriminatory, etc. I just think that, in my honest opinion, this is an absolute disgrace of what is happening in the United States. This is the same problem that my country has had when the EU referendum happened, and that racist behaviour had gotten considerably worse going up into the leading up to the 2019 general election. Racist behaviour has been getting worse, not better. The United States has also had it extremely worse because of the brutality of police, and the fact is that a lot of people have been fearing for their lives. Ethnic minorities have feared for their lives. The same thing as Europeans fearing for their lives here in the UK. That is just unacceptable in my eyes, and I just think that by that time, I think that hate crime is not to be tolerated with, and I take a very dim view on this kind of hate crime. Almost an incredibly extreme disapproving blind eye, or dim view as I like to call it. It is without doubt disgusting, intolerable behaviour like that makes me feel ashamed to become a human being and live on a planet where racist behaviour is allowed amongst other hate crime. Now, let's also talk about the massive amounts of forms of hate crime that happened during the COVID-19 pandemic. Racism has been possibly the largest and got even worse since the lockdown of the United Kingdom, as well as several other countries that began. And the fact that the United States had allowed several states to remain open, even though the virus itself, the country of the United States, has had the worst death toll of the COVID-19 pandemic. They actually think that it's okay for people with ethnic minorities to actually contract the virus, considering that in the United States, private insurance has made healthcare in that country almost inevitably impossible without actually taking out insurance, which of course leads to people paying up front in order to pay it. And that's where my country is going right now with its medical health care, that we are about to head on over to a privatised health insurance system, because Trump would rather want to keep his business interests in check and would rather want, the country to keep on feeding the rich people while the poor suffer through the pandemic and basically die from the symptoms of the COVID-19. And that's what I think of that. The COVID-19 pandemic has been started deliberately so that more humans can die, so the rich can benefit from gaining from the poor people's misery. That's what I think of this whole pandemic. Alongside that, making, of course, the fact that the United States has had its racist problems since the 2016 presidential election, things have started to gradually become worse and have allowed to become worse. And I'm sorry, but this whole problem has been really escalated to dangerous levels after what happened to George Floyd at that fateful day last week. It's absolutely horrendous that an unarmed African American is allowed to be killed off by police brutality. And in a statement from the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Michelle Bachelet, stated that the United States needs to take serious action and end the repeat of such killings. And she also urged protesters to express their demands for justice peacefully and for the police to refrain from further use of excessive force, which I highly doubt that Donald Trump is going to take extremely seriously. And I'm not just talking about racial segregation in the United States, I'm also talking about the other walks of life being affected by police brutality. We have seen the LGBT community being discriminated against by the police, and transphobic, homophobic people. We have also seen police brutality on women, basically because the fact that the police force are now becoming harassing women on the streets for no particular reason and with deliberate intent. And the fact is that the United States are now becoming misogynistic towards women, even though they are not doing anything wrong. And I'm not even talking about Anita Sarkeesian. Yes, folks, I do not even defend what that SJW does, but I do not condone the amount of misogyny and harassment that women are getting from the police and many other misogynistic people that is allowed to run rampant around the United States, the same as anti-LGBT and racist people going on. And let's not also forget that disabled people are being discriminated against by police brutality and ableist people, because the fact is that disabled people are fearing for their lives due to discriminatory hate crime made against them. Yes, I'm talking about the disabled who are being, segregated against and made a mockery of due to this COVID panic. This is as bad as what is happening here in the UK, where disabled people are being discriminated against by people. I've had that particular problem in the UK, where I've been harassed by grown-up men and a bunch of youths who basically make mockery of disabled people, basically calling me a Nazi, calling me a wanker, basically taking pictures of me and taking photos of me and videos of me for public humiliation, and many other the facts that I fear that of being disabled. That's one of the major biggest backdrops, is that there are a load of ableists in the UK, and the fact is that the United States has that particular problem proves that the United States is basically a gold mine for hate crime. And that is definitely something that the UN, the United Nations, needs to take real seriously, because human rights should not only apply for those born in that particular country, they should also be applied for other facts of life, like ethnic minorities, LGBT people, women, other religions, disabled people, everything. Everybody should deserve to feel welcome in a country where it has a less than pleasable leader in place, such as where I live in the UK, where a lot of the people were duped and gullible enough to elect a leader who's well known for his ableist, racist, homophobic, far-right views, and well known for wanting to make trade deals with Trump in order to import chlorinated chicken into the UK, and making the place less than pleasable and make a human rights record equivalent to that of both the United States and Saudi Arabia. Oh, don't get me started on that country's horrific human rights records. I do not want to go into any details, to be fairly honest. So now that we've got that out of the way, all the types of hate crime and what is bad about them, let's also talk about one person that has been influencing these attacks. Not only just Donald Trump, amongst every other right-winger, we're also going to be talking about One Angry Gamer, a video game related blog created by William Billy D. Usher and contributed by loads of far-right authors. Well known for their stereotypes about gamers, making misogynistic, homophobic, transphobic, racist and ableist comments about anybody who is under those categories. And they're also responsible for giving America and many other areas where they come from, the authors come from, a bad name. But there is one list that One Angry Gamer actually I'm going to be looking at. And looking at this, it's just absolutely horrendously terrible. And I know I hate going into that site because, you know, that far-right stupidity is so terrible. And they even consider to be possibly one of the worst ever things that I've ever seen. The traitors of America. Yes, that is right. A number of individuals, companies, outlets and media institutions have stepped forward to announce that they are supporting the groups that are protesting against the segregation of the United States and racism. Not only just in the United States, but also worldwide. And the fact that they actually called them terrorists and thugs and groups that encourage violence, which of course are also influencing certain detractors of the detractor community to come out in support of Trump and the far right, meaning that this was definitely something that I have to be looking at, and this is why I've decided to also put in this discussion video. There are a few that I kind of understand why they've been included, like Amazon for their lack of workers' rights and how much they abuse their workers, as well as tax dodging, as well as the fact that they also put Electronic Arts, which I kind of understand because they don't even put the care and attention in all their video games. Hence why I've decided to no longer be associated with EA, considering how much they don't even give their care and attention for video games. But then of course we come to the other video game companies which I hugely disapprove of and disagree with, such as Sony, called a disgusting traitor, and some people have even considered going to Xbox, especially some of the detractors decided to go to Xbox like what DSP is. Oh wait a minute, Xbox and Microsoft were also put in the traitors list as well. Wow, that didn't really age extremely well, detractors. Honestly. And even Nintendo of America were also put on the traitor list. Wow. All three of the big players of the console market have all been put on the traitors list. I mean, I can laugh at that as well. And even celebrities are also being given the traitor treatment as well, such as rock legends like Black Sabbath and Bon Jovi, and gamers like Ant Dude, Some Call Me Johnny, and Scott the Woz also be part of that list. My god, it's completely psychotic. One Angry Gamer's list of traitors is nothing more than just another case screaming for attention. One Angry Gamers to get their voice through. But this is basically proof that these guys are just don't even know what they're talking about. I honestly think that these guys just really need urgent help. You got to say this right now, that Billy D really is that psychotic. He must really be obsessed with Trump-esque politics, with far-right politics, with being a Nazi sympathizer and being a person who likes spewing his far-right views alongside, amongst others, of the One Angry Gamer site. And I will definitely say this, anybody who actually supports One Angry Gamer are a bunch of bigots. That's right, they love sucking on these guys and DSP's micro penis. I am dead serious. They always love to be DSP sympathizers, those guys. I'm absolutely surprised why they didn't even put Darkside Bill on their traitors list. Oh wait, I'm going to be honest with you. They actually think Darkside Bill is the gamer of reason, despite the fact that that guy is a person who also spewed his far-right Nazism with that tasteless Nazi jokes and making racist jokes and all that stuff. I bet One Angry Gamer and the contributors will always love to admire DSP as the video gamer, the pinnacle video gamer, even though he builds up video games and like soiling his diapers. My goodness gracious me. Billy D is the ultimate far-right man-child I've ever seen. And if anybody disagrees with him, well, like DSP, he's always loving to soil his diapers at the opportunity and screaming his head off like a big baby by throwing all of his Nazi toys out of his pram. I am really lost for words of how bad these guys are. And how bad that they are influencing people to go up against ethnic minorities, to going up against the disability community, to go up against the LGBT community, and making all these far-right attacks of discrimination. Like, I kid you not, it makes me feel ashamed to be human, in my honest opinion. Okay, so with that out of the way, let me just make one thing perfectly clear. I do not mean any offense to anybody in this video when I'm actually making of this. This is not my intention. My intention for this video is to make everybody aware that what they do in terms of hate crime, whether it's racial, whether it is ableist, or of course homophobic, it is wrong. Absolutely, purely wrong. And if you're backing far-right individuals like One Angry Gamer, or even Donald Trump, or even DSP, then you're pretty much stooping to their level of what you are considered to be in terms of hate crime. Besides, if you don't like what I say in this video, then feel free to block me. I don't care. I don't want anybody shoving their racist, homophobic, far-right, ableist, and discriminatory views in my face, or rubbing it in my face, because I do not want to tolerate this at all. I feel that a lot of people in the world are being racist, homophobic, anti-LGBT, ableist, misogynistic, harassing, and all that kind of discriminatory hate crime. It is really a world that's been overwhelmed with so much hatred. And that's what makes me feel, like what I said, ashamed to be a human being. In fact, I absolutely am ashamed to call myself an earthling as well. If anybody supports Donald Trump's segregation, or any segregation in any country, then you're not even a human being at all. You're an inhuman that doesn't even belong in the human race at all. Even though I'm Roman Catholic, I do believe in inclusion, diversity, and equality for all, especially in a world where hostile behaviour has led to discriminatory hate crime attacks. As a person who's also a victim of ableist hate crime in the past, yes, I've been a victim of that to this day, considering that there's a lot of people on the web and in real life being discriminatory towards me because I have a disability, Asperger's syndrome or autism, and yet I get people who mock my disability or even make discriminatory ableist attacks for their own personal gain, and it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable for people to be racist, homophobic, anti-LGBT, misogynistic, and all that kind of discriminatory behaviour. I was never ever brought up by my parents to be like that. I have been brought up to be equal, to believe in diversity, to believe in equality and all that stuff. And yet a lot of people believe that far-rightism and Nazism and fascism and dictatorship is the best way forward. This is the reason why I'm ashamed to be part of this world. Makes me wonder if I'm ever born on the right planet. And again, I do not mean for any offence in this video, but if you don't like it, and if you block me, then that's okay, because you don't even deserve to be in my world at all if you are going to be like that. If you're going to hate on me and even say that I'm a person who's a complete making attacks, then please go right ahead. This only proves that you're stooping to the level of One Angry Gamer, the Trump administration, the far-right Nationalist League of Great Britain and America, those pushing for white supremacy, every racist, homophobe, ableist and far-righty in the world. You're just stooping to their level. Hell, you're even stooping to Darkside Bill's level. I bet even One Angry Gamer actually supports Darkside Bill for his racist far-righty views, because if you actually think about it, DSP did endorse Trump back in 5 years ago when he was asked who are you supporting for president, and he said he wanted to support Donald Trump as a jobs president, despite the fact that he is a racist president and that DSP also made racist jokes. You're basically stooping to the far right level if you're going to say that this video is made just so that I can report offense to the far right. I don't intend on offending anybody, but if you're far righty and you want to block me and hate this video, go ahead. I don't care. It only proves that you're only adding more fuel to the fire, and I just think that you are wrong to support a movement that is going up against equality, and you just want fascism for all. I just don't care anymore if anybody who is a far righty blocks me, because I don't even care about this anymore. I just really think that the whole world needs to be equal. The whole world has a bad balance of white supremacy and not enough rights for anybody who are ethnic minorities, disabled, LGBT, women, those who believe in different religious beliefs and all that. There's not enough equality in the world. Equality is a joke to those who are pushing for far-right white supremacy. I feel that my confidence in being a human being is all gone if a lot of people are actually campaigning for the world to be an asylum of far-righty crazies. That's right. The whole world really has gone mad. They just really want this whole pandemic to be a deliberate attempt for disabled people, for ethnic minorities, for LGBT people to be put in prison, to be put in a world of being locked in while the far right get away with campaigning and breaking the rules. That's what's happening, and that's why people in Britain have more confidence in Dominic Cummings rather than people who are ethnic minorities who are pushing for racism to be flushed out and filtered out. Again, like what I said, hate crime does not belong in my world. It's not even welcomed. And if anybody who is a far-righty who says that I should jump off a cliff if I believe in these views, then you deserve to be shut down and deserve to have a criminal record made against you. I will not tolerate this kind of discriminatory hate crime, and this is definitely fascism at its worst. Again, like what I said, I do not mean any offense in this video. I just want everybody to know that hate crime is illegal, it is absolutely wrong, and it does not even belong in the world. It deserves to be flushed out. Everybody deserves to believe in equality, diversity, and inclusion. Because what I believe in the world, what is happening right now, is just plain wrong, and I think the world really needs urgent reform. Like, everybody needs to change their ways of thinking of who they need to include in their lives and who they should deserve to exclude. In my eyes, I deserve to exclude racists, homophobes, ableists, and far-righties. They all deserve to get out of my life and be blacklisted. I have no more words to say. So let's just end this, shall we? Let's just end this video, shall we? Thank you all for watching this video. Please remember to like the video, comment on what you think of this issue right now. Please share with everybody to spread the word of why this issue needs to be important and why it needs to be talked about. And please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for future videos. For all my Squid Talk videos in the future, as well as future videos of gaming. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys later. So until next time, sayonara for now.